here's Brody Brazil.
As it relates to the Rays and the potential future of sticking around in the Tampa Bay region, things are already crazy and hectic enough. You had Hurricane Milton pass through. It destroyed Tropicana Field. The Rays are now playing this one temporary season at the Yankees spring training and minor league home in Tampa. And how about that brand new stadium deal for the Rays? The ones that, they proposed. They were actually the ones to back out of the deal after the city and county had officially approved the funding for this brand new stadium. And then you add in Orlando to the mix. They just keep reemerging at some of the most interesting times, right? Strategic and interesting times, to the point that it really starts to feel now like they are serious competition to take the Rays away from Tampa and St. Pete and bring them to Central Florida and Orlando. More on the Orlando side in just a second. Let's recap where the Rays are kind of stalled out between Tampa and St. Pete. It doesn't seem like there's been developments on either front. Maybe they're just busy in a baseball season, but not a lot going on with the Rays other than their entire situations here. $22.5 million has been approved by the city of St. Pete to just repair the roof at Tropicana Field. Not the interior damage, which apparently also costs another about $30 million. $22.5 has been approved just to put a roof back on Tropicana Field. They say it can be done by the 2026 baseball season, but again, they still have to approve those other internal repairs. The team right now is playing this temporary season at Tampa's Steinbrenner Field. They're paying $15 million of rent, and it does seem like a one-off. The Yankees don't seem like they want to be landlords for the long term. That new stadium deal I mentioned before, approved by the city, approved by the county. But the Rays officially backed out, and now it feels like all that's left is remorse between Pinellas County and St. Pete. Officials on both sides have said they don't really want to work with the Rays and the current ownership with Stu Sternberg on anything new. So is Tampa the option for them because St. Pete and Pinellas County are shut out? Who knows if there even is an option for the current Rays ownership. And that's why Orlando, having put themselves back in this conversation again, I'll share with you the renderings one more time. They've had this idea. They're called the Dreamers. Barry Larkin is kind of their front man. They want to build a dome. It's close to the resort corridor. It's close to the theme parks. It's exactly where you'd put a baseball stadium and a dome in Orlando to bring Major League Baseball. Because I don't think you're necessarily going to have a team in Tampa or St. Pete and in Orlando. Those are only about 90 miles apart. It just doesn't seem like something that baseball would want to do, have those two markets coexist so close. So it kind of does feel like one or the other. More on that in just a second. This dome from the 2023 specs, they haven't given us any new details on this lately. 45,000 seats, dome stadium, retail and office space, 1,000 hotel rooms. Back then they said $1.7 billion. Felt like they were looking for about $975 in public money. Turns out they may need less public money, or maybe it's going to cost more. But again, those are numbers they gave us a while back. But here's the very latest from the Dreamers. They have announced some more compelling information that leads you to think that they're going farther along in this process than they even were before. They have qualified investors with letters and verbal commitments approaching $1.5 billion. Now, you understand that whether they get an expansion team, there would be a fee for that, and then starting the team and paying for the team, all that costs a lot of money. Or maybe they're buying the team from Stuart Sternberg. But they have letters and verbal commitments approaching $1.5 billion from the team aspect, from the buying and controlling and paying for the baseball team aspect. That's one part of this. Then there's also the stadium funding, right? They don't have a permanent place to play. So the stadium funding, according to the Dreamers, they have right now in excess of $1 billion also confirmed and committed. So if you really think about it, it's $2.5 billion, some for the team, some for the stadium, but they're also moving ahead in now hiring staff members. They're also taking their team headquarters from, I'm not sure where they are currently at, if that's official or not, but they're trying to move to downtown Orlando and have more permanent team headquarters, like official office space for a baseball team that doesn't exist yet. But this is how hard Barry Larkin and his team are working on this. Barry's quote from this press release, all that information, by the way, and this comes from a press release via the Orlando Dreamers. Here's the quote that Barry gives in the press release. Quote, "It is clear that these seasoned investors understand the compelling opportunity represented by our unsurpassed market metrics and proposed state-of-the-art dome stadium located right in the middle of Orange County Tourist Corridor, the Orange County Tourist Corridor, that will welcome approximately 80 million tourists this year." So there he goes promoting the market, the stadium, and the savvy nature of these potential investors. Jim Schnorf is the Dreamers' co-founder. Jim had some pretty interesting, quite honestly, spicy quotes here. Let's dive in. First one, quote, "We feel the heavy lifting part of the team acquisition financing and stadium financing has been accomplished." Wow, so it's like literally almost mission accomplished here. "Finding the right anchor investor in our control ownership group and an attractive financing structure for the team's portion of the stadium construction were clearly the most challenging aspects." Yeah, asking people for money and figuring out who is what in the structure of things, that is difficult. "We are completely confident in arranging any supplemental senior debt financing that might be relevant for team acquisition to supplement the equity investment already identified." Basically, we've already got the base amount of money, and now we can go out and get more because of who's on our squad. "Our stadium funding letter of intent from a major institutional partner will provide more than $1 billion towards construction costs under an arrangement that is highly attractive to Orange County government and citizens, team ownership, and Major League Baseball." Let's go over this one more time. There is a lot to this paragraph right here. Major institutional partner. All right, big company, corporation, seems like something like that. More than $1 billion towards cost in an arrangement that is highly attractive to Orange County. Now, usually when you're striking a deal with a county, wouldn't you want to negotiate a little back and forth? They're basically saying, here's what our deal is going to be to them. The team is going to be the ones that propose this idea and say, hey, here's what we've got for you to decide on, not the other way around. Highly attractive to Orange County government and citizens, team ownership, and, Major League Baseball. Because it's important to Major League Baseball to get public subsidies if they go into a new market. They don't want to privately finance everything or sometimes anything. They want their public subsidies for Major League Baseball. We were approached very recently by a successful business person with ties to Central Florida who is extremely knowledgeable and passionate about baseball, desiring to invest in our enterprise. Oh, so like there is one big pocketbook here that's burning a hole in somebody's pocket, right? Like there's somebody who is very eager to be giving money to the Orlando Dreamers, but who could that be? I'm not even insinuating that I know. It's just interesting that it's spelled out in such specific terms, but it's anonymous. Based on the quality of this individual, we mutually confirmed our first external investment, which will allow us to expedite certain key advancements in our initiative, demonstrating to MLB that Orlando is much further along than any other market pursuing a franchise. Wow. Our plan has been to be fully prepared for whatever path brings an opportunity for Major League Baseball in Orange County. And that brings me to a quote from Andy Herdliska, who I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Andy's about to spell out here kind of the game plan that the Dreamers are about to follow. And make no mistake, they're about to be aggressive in this push to get Major League Baseball to Orlando. Andy says, quote, "We will be reigniting our outreach to the Central Florida fan base in the coming weeks as we build on the momentum that is in place with the incredible financing progress that our MLB plan has created." Essentially, they want you to know that they've got the money because they understand that gets fans excited about a tangible possibility of baseball coming their direction. With numerous MLB teams experiencing stadium-related challenges or indicating potential interest in selling, the Dreamers have multiple opportunities for potential MLB franchise acquisition, including landing one of the two expansion teams Major League Baseball will add this decade. Now, I take a little exception to the end of that. We're not sure anymore. if and when Major League Baseball is still going to expand. They said they were about 5 years ago, but they very much have cooled off, seeing the uncertainty of the CBA, their television deals, and the uncertainty of, well, the A's and Rays situations in respective markets. But going back to this, with numerous teams experiencing stadium-related challenges, like we talk about all the time here on this channel, could it be the White Sox? Could it be the Rays? Could it be the Athletics if Las Vegas doesn't work out? Stadium-related challenges or indicating potential interest in selling, like, oh, I don't know, the Tampa Bay Rays. The Dreamers have multiple opportunities for potential MLB franchise acquisition, according to Andy. That is so straightforward. That is so direct. This is so intentional. Now, all of that was from a Dreamers press release. Then there's this piece in the Orlando Sentinel by Mike Bianchi. I always get a little bit nervous when I'm saying a name that I've never said before. I'd never heard anybody else say it. I'm just kind of taking a wild guess at pronunciation. So, Mike, I apologize if I totally butchered that. But this was not necessarily a news piece. It was a little bit more opinionated, maybe more of the column variety, but that's fine. I'm just here to say the opinion part of it and the background from Mike and that kind of gut instinct is what I wanted to translate here in this video. Mike says this, quote, "The Dreamers seem to be making waves throughout the baseball world and have apparently got the attention of the Rays ownership, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred, Governor Ron DeSantis, and local politicians, according to sources within the organization and in local government." So the Dreamers' existence is not far-fetched. It's not off out in the weeds. It's not doing its own thing. It has, according to Mike, gotten the attention of all those various people who actually matter in this process. Mike also goes on to say, it's no secret that the Rays are Orlando's best chance to bring MLB here to Orlando. The team announced last month that it is backing out of a proposed $1.3 billion stadium deal in St. Petersburg. Governor DeSantis said last month that Manfred has made it clear, Commissioner Rob Manfred of Major League Baseball, that he wants to keep the Rays in Florida. Right? So not specifically Tampa or St. Pete, wants to keep the Rays in the state of Florida, the country's third most populous state. DeSantis says he has spoken with Manfred, and Manfred is committed to having two teams in the Sunshine State. Well, Orlando is in Florida. Here are my takeaways. The Dreamers are making progress, collecting more money, opening up new offices, hiring people. Meanwhile, the Rays are stuck in the mud. Who can the Rays make a deal with? City of Tampa? Has there been any progress there? And of course, maybe some behind the scenes, but they just backed out of a stadium deal. It takes multiple years to put together a new stadium deal. Are they intending on staying at Tropicana Field? Is Major League Baseball okay with that? What about the pressure that Rob Manfred was reportedly putting on Stuart Sternberg to get something done, get something new done? Not an old fix, not going back to Tropicana Field for a very long time. What about a new solution? And the Rays don't seem to be making any progress that we understand on any of those fronts. How can the Rays even strike a new deal with St. Pete? City council members there and those in the county for Pinellas County, they're not thrilled. In fact, to the point that Pinellas County commissioners were thinking about even filing a lawsuit against the Rays to try and get the money they spent on the first stadium deal back for time and effort. So it's not a great feeling between the Rays and current local government. And how about this kind of almost next level, really deep thought here? So Orlando has emerged, right? What if Stuart Sternberg, the Rays owner, goes back to Tampa and says, hey, there's some competition in this now. It's not St. Pete anymore. It's Orlando. They're serious. Basically, even if the Rays are not willing to sell, right? Nobody can force Stuart Sternberg to do this. The Rays can start using Orlando as leverage against Tampa or maybe even St. Pete if it ever got to that. Competition only helps the value of the Rays in this situation. Maybe they're loving this, not only as a potential exit and out and departure and a place they might go, but at the very least, it makes the talks with Tampa even more spicy. And you know what? The Rays, if this really is an option for them, they can be in Orlando at a temporary home. They can be playing at the Disney complex by next season. So they wouldn't stick around in Tampa. they wouldn't stick around in St. Pete, go back to the Trop. Now, the Trop has been approved for $22.5 million to get fixed. And what if the Rays say, you know what? See ya. Going to Orlando. Peace out. And I say all this because I'm not necessarily hoping for that. I know how Rays fans feel in Tampa and St. Pete, and they want to keep their team, but I've seen this movie before. And whether it's the A's and their uncertainty, the Rays here, the Royals want a new stadium. Will they get it in Missouri? Will they get one in Kansas? What's that all about? How about the White Sox? Maybe that's one of those teams that is kind of mentioned in that article or mentioned by the Dreamers, one of those teams that has a stadium issue. The White Sox are definitely in that conversation. They want $1 billion from the state of Illinois, whether they'll get it or not. But I've seen this movie before, and I don't feel comfortable right now for baseball fans in Tampa or St. Pete. I really don't. Because the Rays can sell part of the team. The Rays can sell most of the team, all the team. Stuart Sternberg can get out of this completely and sell it to a group that's got a lot of money and is ready to go in Orlando. And as much as Rob Manfred had talked about Tampa being a viable market, they want to make sure they keep it there. If owners approve it, it's done. Trust me, I've seen this movie before. And so at this point, I mean, the more Orlando keeps making progress and keeps knocking on this door, and the more that the Rays stall and don't get anything done, and I'm not saying this is St. Pete's fault or Tampa's fault or any of the county's respective faults. I'm just saying nothing is happening with the Rays. And so this is going to be kind of their option. It certainly does feel like that. Let me know what you think about this press release and also the Orlando Sentinel article. Let me know about what you think about all this in the comment section below. Also, while you're down there, thumbs up helps me, this video, and this channel. And one more quick thing. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. That way I can definitely see you back here next time.